Hey folks, this is going to be a little bit of a different video today. So this is my old Ender 3 V2 we have on the bench today. This is my very first 3D printer, and it put in an amazing amount of years of valiant service, but it's now obsolete for me. So I upgraded recently to the Creality K1, which is an absolutely fantastic printer. And yeah, so I don't really have a use for this guy anymore. My space is pretty small, so I don't have room for two printers. I don't really have a need for it. The K1 is, filling all my needs for now. And I have to say the generational shift between these two machines is pretty staggering. Yeah, pretty incredible what the K1 is capable of out of the box. So yeah, that leaves me with no real reason to keep the Ender 3 going. So basically this video, we're gonna break it down for parts. So yeah, this is just going to be mostly time lapse of me breaking this thing down. I might jump in every now and then and say something, but it'll pretty much all just be time lapse. So yeah, you guys can sit back and enjoy that. Some points to note: this isn't a stock Ender 3 V2. I've pretty heavily modified this over the years. Added the little custom squashy feet for vibration damping, direct drive extruder mod, BL touch, dual Z-axis lead screws. So yeah, it's a much more capable machine than it was stock. And yeah, like I said, put in many years of really good service, and yeah, we salute you, little Ender 3, but you're for parts now. So all right, let's just get into breaking it down. So I don't know if I ever talked about these. These are the little squidgy feet attachment that I designed. So it's just a really simple little block that fits on basically where the stock rubber feet, if you peel them off, there's a little space about that size. You can fit that on. And then I modeled up this little cup, and goes into it are these are little rubber cat toy balls, and they fit in there just nicely cupped in. And yeah, they work really well as little vibration damping feet. So yeah, a little pro tip for you guys. It actually works really well. Surprised, and they held up, yeah, for years. Good mod. And there's our first stepper motor free. Probably the most useful parts I'm going to harvest off this whole thing. These little guys. So, first one free. Only 3 more to go. I've had this printer for years. I've never once scanned this QR code. I don't know what it's for, but it's on the front of the X-axis little motor mount housing thing here, and it hides the screws. Cheeky Creality. But yeah, what is it? Who knows? It's probably an instruction manual or some shit. there's another useful part. A little limit switch module. Very handy. Yeah, these can come in handy for a lot of different things, so keep that. That'll be useful. These little plastic dudes, they were underneath the Z-axis, the original Z-axis, single Z-axis motor, because on this original machine, that Z-axis motor is sort of just cantilevered off this frame. And these are little shims that you could print that were to shim up that the motor to make it a little bit more secure. And they were one of the first ever mods I did to the printer. And they lasted pretty well. I remember this is actually the exact first roll of PLA that I had when I got this printer. And yeah, they held up well. So good job, little shims. You did your job. All right, that's the bulk of the very easy part of the disassembly done. So when you bought the stock Ender 3v2, this was all fully assembled for you. So technically, I've already had done most of this disassembly before. The gantry is mostly assembled. You popped it on with those screws there, and then put the Z-axis on. So yeah, this is basically as far as I've ever had it broken down before. So I kind of knew how to do all of this stuff that I've already done up to now. And yeah, so this is, I don't know what to do here necessarily. So I'm going to start trying to take apart the y-axis and take the bed off, and then yeah, just keep going down inside this bad boy. Yeah, so this will probably be a little bit more fiddling around. Up to now I was just able to just do. So yeah, gonna have to do some figuring on this one. Okay, we're pretty close to the end here. Just this section, which I guess is these screws, should take apart this part. That's the enclosure for the electronics bay. I can open up those screws, and the ones at the bottom, I know those ones, and the motherboard's under there, power supply, and then the little storage box. So yeah, I think there's not too much left here. Once I get the main frame apart, yeah, I'll figure out what to do with all these wires. I may keep the wiring loom fully intact, just in case you ever want to rebuild this or something. I don't know. But yeah, almost there. So most of the mechanical stuff done. A big old box of hardware here from it, which I wasn't quite expecting that much out of it. So the next thing I'll have to do is sort all this out. It also doesn't, the parts don't all fit in the little storage bin that I've nominated for them. This stuff is just a little bit too big. So yeah, gotta figure that out too. But a box of junk is easier to store than than an unwieldy printer. So back to it. Okay, well that was a lot easier than I thought. So motherboard, a little bit of the frame that's left, hold together by a few bolts, and then this is the main power supply. Don't touch this, okay? Very simple. This thing, if you don't know what's in this and you don't know the things you should know about this, do not take it apart. Please, don't open the screws, don't take it apart. Yeah, that's all. So just don't do that. I'm not going to do it on camera because I know what to do with this, and I don't want to show some half-cocked version of how you can take this apart and what things are inside it, okay? So, yeah, don't take it apart if you don't know what's in it. Simple. Okay, there we have it. That's... Oh, oh good. There we go. That's basically the whole lot broken down. So all that's left is the wiring loom, power supply, and the motherboard on its little tray. I'm gonna start taking apart taking some of these wires out so I can separate this out, and then I'll give you guys a little closer look at the motherboard because I don't know, maybe you've never seen one before. Anyway, yeah, okay. Let me just start pulling some wires out. Creality, actually, to their credit, do some decent strain reliefing in here, and they put some little blobs of hot glue on some of these connectors, which is nice, so they don't pop off in transit and stuff. So yeah, not a bad job. Okay, let me get this to a more easier to talk about state. Okay, to finish this out, let's have a look at the motherboard. So this is what took us all that time to get to. These are pretty cool. There's quite a lot on them. They're nice little boards. So if you've never seen one before, let me just talk a little bit about what's on it, what all the different ports and stuff do. So first things first, I guess. So yeah, the main thing, I think, pretty sure this is an STM32 microcontroller that is the brains of the whole operation. It's got a lot of other things on it. It has a little USB to little UART controller, TTL thing. This port over here is the port that the little screen and the other part of the brain goes to. So that's the port for that. There's probably serial communication on this that then goes and talks to the other board that's in the screen. What else then? Got a little SD card reader, which is where your files get pulled from. Other stuff then that's on the board. Over here on this side is sort of the power side of the board. This is the main power input from the power supply. Right next to it is a big chunky fuse. So if suddenly your board stops working, no power, you can check that fuse might be blown or not. And then over here, this is all other power things. So you can know that they're meant for power because they're these big chunky screw terminal connectors. So off of this is where the power is pulled for the bed heater and for the what's it called, the heating cartridge for the hot end. So all that stuff comes off of here. And there's some heatsink here. So these are, not sure what they are. I think they're they're MOSFETs. So they will be basically taking the power here. So I'm not sure exactly how this works on some of these. Some of the stuff here is like mains power, so the bed might be heated from mains power. I'm not actually sure if this is or not, but these could be part of that switching. Well, actually, would it be? No, this would all be DC coming into here. Anyway, not sure, not 100% certain. I actually don't know what comes into here. I don't know if DC comes into this, or if it's, no, it would be DC, yeah, because this is the power supply is going to take that. Yeah, anyway. What else we got? These guys, these are the stepper drivers. So these are the little things that drive your stepper motors. So you plug them in to these ports here, the steppers themselves, and then underneath each of these little heat sinks is the actual driver chip. They've got big anti-ripple capacitors on the supplies that go in, and they have these teeny tiny little trim pots here, which are for trimming the current for the motors. So they're usually trimmed from the factory, but you could go in and adjust them if you wanted to. I would recommend you don't, but you could if you want to try and get some different performance out of your motors. And what else have I not mentioned? Oh yeah, so you got these here, and these are for your limit switches. So these are just little switch contacts, 2 tins. Each of your limit switches will connect to these. These little headers here are for your fans. So I think these two are for the 2 hot end fans, the little blower fan and the little squirrel cage. They connect to there. Yeah, that's about it really. They're kind of neat little boards. They have a lot of functionality packed into, pretty small little package. So one thing I do plan to do with this in the future is repurpose it for some other projects. Ultimately, when you have this board just running, it's firmware. And obviously it's a 3D printer firmware, so it has all the stuff to do with the hot end and everything, and has a lot of other brains in there. But what it does, you over the serial port, you can give it G-code commands, and it can execute a motion system, a 4-axis motion system basically. So in theory, you could wire up motors for any type of motion system you want. And if you give it the right G-code command, it'll move those motors in the way you want. Obviously, a lot of superfluous stuff over here if you don't want to use limit switches, or you don't care about fans or the hot end or anything. But equally, you could repurpose these for other things. So you give it the right G-code, and this board will do things using what's connected to it. So in theory, you could make it do a lot of things. So I have an idea for something I want to do with it. Specifically, the motion system. I think I might try and use some of the parts and the aluminium and the lead screws and stuff, and maybe make some kind of like robot arm thing that I can control with G-code. I think that'd be kind of fun. Yeah. So that's it. That's everything for today. Thanks for joining me on this. Hope you got something from it. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.